Good morning. I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of you for making the effort to be here this morning. We're going to go ahead and start our forum. We've got about an hour together, and we have a couple of things to do. And as you can see from the agenda, there are a couple of points quickly on the welcome. I just want to say that we thank you for being here. We have some staff in the room as well, city manager and directors and others, department directors, and our chief building official who will be speaking to you momentarily. Go ahead and stay. That's fine. And I just want to say that here we go. You have to control it from here. So the housing update is the first thing I wanted to touch upon. I think for those of you who may have been in a cave for the last year or two, you're not aware of this, but we do have a housing crisis going on in the Bay Area. So we try to address that. Our council is aware of that, and they talked to we had our housing program manager, Margot Ernst, on staff, do a presentation last Tuesday, or was it last Tuesday? It was last Tuesday. A very thorough, comprehensive rundown as to what the city of Walnut Creek is currently doing. Well, actually, the state of affairs in Walnut Creek, what the city is currently doing in the way of policies and programs, what we've done in the past and what we're looking to do in the future. And we got some feedback from council regarding their perspective on all that and how they feel about potential changes or new policies or programs. And so Margot got some good feedback. The reason I raised that for you is there was a lot of great data. I know we have some residential builders in the room. A lot of great data, a lot of great perspective, and some really good feedback from council, members of the public, and staff. And I would highly encourage you to take a look at, if nothing else, the agenda report that Margot put together is a great comprehensive overview in pretty easy, digestible format, a paragraph or two for each topic. We really outline really well what the city's up to, what we're doing, and what our vision is going forward. And again, you can supplement that, if you like, with the video to hear council's feedback on those points. So I just want to relay that the housing update is available. It is online on walnut-creek.org, the city's website. Go to the public meeting portion of the web, and you can find that meeting from last Tuesday, the 21st. Not the 21st, sorry, the 7th, March 7th. That said, I want to keep this rolling. I don't want to dwell too long. I know that Frank Kong has some things that he wants to relay to you in the way of some improvements that we're making in our building division with respect to permitting. I know some of you have been known to pull a permit or two here. So I'm going to, with that, turn it over to Frank and welcome you up. I'll cue up your presentation, Frank, and appreciate it. Yeah, let me get you queued up here. And actually, yours is a PDF. Yeah. So you have to control it from here. It won't advance with that. Okay. That's, I believe, for PowerPoint.
I should send you.
So what you should do is just click on downward arrow.
So this one here will work?
Exactly.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Frank Kong, the building official here. Today, I want to share 3 new services the building division and our development service group had implemented during the past 6 months or so. 3 things I want to share. The first thing is a commercial express, and the second one is the scheduled inspections online, and the third one is you can review your permitting status online. So let's start with the commercial express. So commercial express was implemented last August with a goal to review the plans and issue the permit at the same day. Now, 3 critical elements are essential for the success of this program. Number 1, the plan review will be done through 90 minutes plan check meetings with the design team. So all the city divisions related to that project will be in the same room with the design team. As seen in the picture, Ken Nader is here with the ProBus and our engineer staff here meeting with the clients. This is very critical because through these face-to-face meetings, a lot of issues can be clear, questions can be answered, and if in the end there's a minor change need to be done, our staff is willing to redline the plans and issue the permit. The second one, it is a requirement is the job has to meet a certain criteria to qualify for this project. Third one is you need to get the applicant need to get a fire department approval or Central Sand and other agencies approval before the appointment time. So this is the 4 type of a qualified project. Existing office GI up to 20,000 square foot tenancy improvement area, existing retail space up to 10,000, some minor work in the restaurant, and without kitchen remodels, and some minor storefront and all other similar structural work, some such as HVAC equipment installations in the roof will be qualified for this project here, program. And we require the project architect and the general contractor to be present in the meeting to answer any questions, because towards the end, general contractor typically is the person to pull the permit. And as far as the design professionals, we prefer them to be here, but if they are busy, they're required to stand by and to answer any questions through the phone or other telecommunication tools. You can find more information about this program in the city's website. So after you log on the city's website and you will go to the department, you find out where CED, and then you'll find the permit center, and then trickle down to the bottom on the left-hand side here. So there will be the Commercial Express homepage. If you click it, you will find more detailed information about this program. And towards the bottom of the homepage for commercial review, there is a blue-colored sentence over there, ask you to click here to request an appointment online. And then this is kind of a appointment request form. You need to fill it up, put your name and the scope of work and other information there. We have a handout in the counter, in the desk next to the entry, door entrance. You can find more information over there. So,
Frank,
yeah.
The fire department
Mm-hmm.
and Central Center are both aware that we're doing this commercial express, so when applicants go in
Mm-hmm.
to get their pre-approvals, do they, does the fire department go, oh, okay, we're gonna do
Right.
that quickly too?
Right. So,
Repeat that for them.
yeah, Sandy's question is how the other outside agencies kind of team up with the city to make this program work. So before we implement in last August, I reached out to our outside agencies, Central Sand, the Health Department, and the Fire Department. And so far, Fire Marshal is willing to team up with the city and to kind of provide a similar expedited service. So if you come to Fire Department, telling the Fire Marshal, okay, I have an express appointment with the city of Walnut Creek 2 weeks, next 2 weeks, next Tuesday, whatever, or 2 weeks from now, Fire Marshal is willing to review your plans over the counter the same day over there. So that's a commitment the Fire Marshal did. However, Central Sand and Health Department does not have this commitment due to their own concerns and workload so far. That's the agency's status here. Thank you, Sandy, for reminding me. So next one, I'm going to move to the new citizen access portal the city just implemented in February. So what this portal will do, it will offer the citizens, business developers, or owners to access the permitting information online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So through this portal, you can check your permitting information. You can get a real-time update about the building permit status. And you can schedule inspections online. And also you can check the fee payment history, or you can check the outside agency's approved status or requirement here. So how that works, so in order to access this information, you have to register and open a user account with us. And to get a specific project information, you have to be an owner, applicant, or design professionals involved with that project. Now, general public, they can also register as a user, but they cannot see too much detail into your project. They may see the general information about this job, very limited information available to general public also. So this is the homepage of our citizen access portal. So in the circle on the top, I show they give you the option, either you can register the first time as a user, and then, or you can log in if you are existing users. So first stage is you need to register as a user. Now, there is a handout in the on the desk to show you how to do it. It's pretty simpler, as a typical online account you can offer. You can register, right, through to your bank or other information. So, ask you your username, your password, and your basic information. Then they should be able to register you as a user. Now, in the counter, we provided 2 terminals over there for the general public or applicants. When they stop by the counter, they have the opportunity to use the system to register themselves as a counter user. So after your registration, you have the rights or opportunities to check your building permit status. So after you log in here, and this screen will pop up to tell you who you are, the user login. This time is Tony in our staff here. And so you're allowed to have check 3 category information: building permits, planning permits application, or engineering application. Right now we talk about the building permits application here. So you click the icon, click here, double click the button building permits application. Then it will send you to, this is what screen will look like, okay? So this screen will show you all the permits you got involved, either as an owner, applicant, or design professionals. So the very last column here shows you the status of the permit, each permit application. For example, this one, they tell you this is the comments had been sent to the applicant, and we're waiting for the resubmittals. This one, final, it means the job had been issued, this is issued. And something down below, there's one called final. That means the permit has been issued and the construction already passed all the inspections. So now to say, if you are interested to know more information about this job, this permit, I want to know, it is still in the plan check, but what is my status here? So you double click this permit number here. This screen will show you the basic permit information as far as the job location here, and who is the applicant, the design professional involved, and what is the scope of work. There's more information below as you try to, cut here in order to have a, decent size of the farm here. Who is the owner here? Yes?
I have a question. When you're tracking the status, does it also track the dates?
Tracking the dates of the...
When you track the status, do you track the dates as well of the permit coming in, getting the comments back to the applicant?
Yes, I will do it here, yeah.
So it will be on there, okay.
Mm-hmm. The question is, well, this track also the date, as far as the detailed information, the progress, right? So now, if you want to know more information about this job, permitting status, you have to click here, drop-down menu of the record information. So in the city, all the permit, instead of we call a permit, we call a record. So you need to click here using drop-down button here to menu to see more information. That's, after you click that, so this is drop-down menu I'm talking about.
Frank, could you be sure to speak into the microphone? We want to make sure we can pick this up on the video.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, very
You can take it out if you like.
Okay.
Thank you.
So here it is the record drop-down menu here, and there's a few options here. And if you want to know the permitting status, you need to click here. And then this screen will show you the permitted status here, okay? So from here there's a check mark here. There's a 4 check mark. One is called a permit information here. Second is a building review, engineering review, and the planning review here. And the very last one is a consolidated comments. So this basically 3 divisions are involved in this project here. If you want to know more details about the timelines, where we are, you need to click the black arrow in front of each divisions. So here you go. So after you click it, so this is the information you will see where we are. These 3 divisions: buildings, plannings, engineering. So you can tell for buildings, the job was not approved. So we send the comments on this date. And both engineering and planning already approved this one on specific date here, right? And the very last column here is called consolidated comments. So even in this case, 3 city divisions or department got involved. So we don't send the comments individually to the applicant to bombard you. Instead, after all divisions finish the review, so the city is going to compile all the comments together, and we try to make sure all the comments are consistent about a certain requirement, about city policies, and then we send it out as a one package called the consolidated comments. So in that way, our applicant can forward the entire thing to everybody here, to their team members, and when they come back, they will receive one response package to the staff to review it. And so this is pretty much the process how you review your permitting status here. Now, as you can see here, this is the page after you log in. Beside the record information to see the permitting status, you can also see the payment, your fee payment histories for this job. And here it is a condition. The condition means something outside agency usually requirement before we can issue the permit. Now, when permit is issued, also there is a condition there, you have to fulfill before we can final your permit. So all the information can be found under the condition. So if you double click the condition, this is all the information here they will tell you. For example, the central sign is required before the permit issuance. That means you have to get the central sign approval usually for underground utilities, sewer lines or something here before we can issue the building permit for you. Next slide. Thank you, Jessica. So next one is after you got a permit, you can allow using this model, portal to schedule building inspections. So what do you do is, again, after you log in to building permits, this is all the permit you saw last time. So now you found this one, basically you want to schedule inspection for this job, for this permit here. Now, before you start your inspection, you have to check status here to make sure this permit already been issued, the status. If it's under review, you cannot schedule inspection, right? I know it's obvious, it's trivial, but sometimes it happens. So make sure this one, you really got a permit. And then you double click the permit number, and here it will pop out the basic information for your record. So next slide, please. Yeah. So to schedule inspection, again, you need using drop-down menu under the record info, come down to here called inspection, and you double click it. So here is a screen show the current inspection histories and informations. The bottom here tell you how many inspections had been completed or canceled, the history here. And you see here something, quite a few already approved, but there's one inspection was canceled on this date, right? And now if you want to see, okay, I want to request a new inspection. So you need to click here, request inspection button, and double click it. So then the screen will pop up all the kind of item here, potentially you can choose from. So there's quite a few pages here. I just show you one page for the list. And the right-hand screen show you, okay, I choose item 401 for underground plumbing. So I click it here. Now the continue button will change to green, and then if you click it, the next screen will pop up the available date for you to choose from. Typically right now, I think I made this request on Monday, and then they give you 5 days after that Monday for you to choose. So after I choose 15th as our scheduled inspection day, which is today, and so that, then I click this date here, and it will, again, the continue button will change the color from gray to this blue, and then you can double click it, and then we'll continue to next screen. So then this screen will basically summarize the information you just did. So what kind of inspection you just requested, and the location, and the contact info. This screen will give you the opportunity to double check your phone number here to make sure it's correct. Now, if you think, okay, you want to change, you have opportunity here to change it. So after that, you can click the continue button to move on to this screen. So now this screen will basically is a final confirmation screen for you before you really can send your request. So after you verify all the information here, the job, the location, and the contact phone number here, and so you need to click the finish line, and then the system will accept it, and your appointment is done. So this is The last sheet I have here, slide I have here. So basically today, how we show you how to schedule inspection online, how to check the permitting status, and how you do the commercial express. As far as the online portal, we're going to publish all the information on our website. And right now on the desk, you can find the detailed instructions how to register as a user. So now I'm willing to take some questions you may have.
Some
Okay,
questions here.
Peter.
If you can wait for the microphone. Appreciate it.
So Frank, congratulations. This is a fantastic tool.
Thank you.
I wish every city had something as comprehensive as this.
Okay.
The one concern I have is with respect to plan check comments.
Okay.
And it's clear to me that you can go and check the status of each of your reviews.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that you mentioned is that the comments themselves aren't released individually, that you do a review so that you can get a complete or comprehensive set of plan check comments to respond to.
Right.
And from my perspective, the only challenge with that, I mean, I appreciate that you're sometimes internally you can resolve conflicting comments by doing this process.
Sure.
But sometimes certain departments, let's say the electrical plan checker might be behind because of their workload.
Yeah.
But there's some building comments that are available that might be significant and really
Right.
take a lot of research and coordination by the architect to go back to do that, say several weeks worth of work. I'm not working on that because I don't have those comments. And instead, I'm waiting a few more weeks for the electrical guy to come out with a comment that maybe could be resolved in a couple of days.
Right.
And so from my perspective, not having access to individual comments can be a problem from a time turnaround
Okay.
concern. I agree that it's good to have those comments comprehensively reviewed, but the downside to that as the developer is that I potentially lose some time. I'd rather take the risk of being able to have access to those comments. And so my suggestion is maybe that those comments be available through a PDF or something for me to click on when I check my status, with the intent that you're still going to do the process that you've proposed
Right.
and release the comments maybe through a formal email back to the applicant. But if I'm the applicant and I'm really intensely monitoring my project and I see that that thing has changed, at least I can check and see what those comments are. If they're not significant, maybe I'll wait for them to be resolved or reviewed. But if they are significant, I probably want to give folks a heads up so they can get working on them.
Yep. I totally agree. So I think the city is on the same page with you, Peter, and that will be our next phase project here. So we're going to, along with what Peter's recommendation, our staff also share the same vision, because sometimes some group or some trade was a little bit behind the schedule, and other trade already or division already finished the review, have some comments there. So we're going to next phase, we're going to allow the applicant to access those comments already available online, but we don't want to send you because in the past, one reason we want to have a consolidated letter officially sent out is sometimes if we release only the comments from one division, sometimes in the end, the customer will just bring that division's comment letter. They think, oh, that's all from the city, right? So we had some problems in the counter. So, but we're going to offer some online features so the applicant can pop up, click that information to see the PDF list, and then maybe download it to themselves to do it. But so they can start, revise their plans accordingly. Good comment, so we're on the same page. Thank you. Yeah. Any more?
If it works for you, I think we'll actually continue on. Can we get a big thank you for Frank, who is going on vacation and decided to come here and share more about this first. So thank you so much, Frank. All right. So thanks to all of you. Let me actually just grab wherever the clicker ended up, if we can find it. Behind there. Perfect. So I've met just about everybody here. My name is Jessica Cole. I'm the Development Services Innovation Lead, and I am helping us to work through a collaborative effort called the Blueprint for Success. You've probably heard us talk about this until we're blue in the face, which is appropriate. But just to give you a super quick review of what we're talking about here, it's a document. It's a little over 60 pages that came out of a series of collaborative meetings between members of staff as well as the community. And our goal is really to see the development process here in Walnut Creek as a cohesive entity, as an experience that someone goes through regardless of what division or department they're working with. And so to that end, we're trying to think ahead and think about where are the areas that we want to make sure that we are doing well and continue to do well, where are the areas that we can improve, and where are the areas that everyone's going to need to improve because it's the 21st century and we've got some cool new technology like a citizens portal available to us. So we're thinking about this on a couple of different topics. So one is business process improvements. These are things that are aimed at helping projects actually get through the pipeline while respecting all of the requirements that exist. So an example of this is that we're going to work with commissions to figure out where the individual lines for when we bring projects forward to them should be. Another example is technology investments, which you just saw today, figuring out where we can invest in tech to move us forward. Third is customer service experience. So an example would be our counter experience. One of the things that we've discovered is that we actually have more than 30 different signs referring to us differently around City Hall right now. Are we community and economic development, public works? Are we a permit center? Are we a permit counter? Are we a one-stop shop? And so one of our goals is actually to look at it from your perspective and then be sure to make that all aligned. And finally, communication improvements. And that was the spark actually for these development services forums to begin with, was to open dialogue, to increase communication, to make things work better. I'll give a much more detailed update on this at next week's council meeting, but I wanted to give you guys just a quick sneak peek at some of the things that we've been up to. And then I'd actually like to get to the big sheet that's on your tables. And the first thing that I'd like to do actually is have the people who are sitting alone over here to redistribute yourself to fill out one of the other tables, not to call you out, but yeah, we'll have a mix at every table if that works. So I would just say to make the tables as full as possible, so that we'll probably get three groups around here. So feel free to shift in whatever way makes sense for you. And then what you'll see on your table is what we call a journey map. And this is basically a way of mapping the experience for folks who are going through a particular process, in our case, the development process, working with the city, step by step. And not only are we mapping out what the individual actions are, so what are you doing during this process, but the goal is to actually map out what's the city doing and what are you thinking and feeling, what are you experiencing as you're going through. So what are the moments when you are sitting there and saying, oh, I know it looks like I'm sitting here waiting at the counter, but what I'm thinking of in the back of my mind is the fact that I've got a parking meter that's ticking right now, and if I could just get that taken care of, everything else would get easier. And so what we'll do today is actually just run through about 20-25 minutes worth of exercises to draw out some of your experiences and your opinions, see where we've got it right, see where we've got it wrong, and actually be able to use that information to help us prioritize these blueprint improvements and come up with new ones that we might not have thought of. So that being said, would you guys mind, this would be a perfect moment, if you wouldn't mind redistributing however you would like. And once you're comfortable, the first thing I'd like you to do is to take a brief moment and introduce yourselves to everyone who is sitting at your table. I'm going to recognize that we could keep talking about this, and the room will be available if we want to keep talking about this. But just so in case some folks do need to head out by 9, I want to be respectful of time and just bring us all back together for a quick second of just being able to share out any learnings that came out of this, any ideas, either from staff or from the attendees. Were there things that this made you think of that you hadn't necessarily been thinking of walking into the room today? Any major, we can do kind of summaries by table if you'd like. Sure. The question is basically to come together as a group for people who weren't at your table. You know, what were you talking about? What did you discover that might prompt some ideas or some next steps, you know, in that regard? So could I actually hand it off to anybody at this table?
Tag on it. Well, some of the things we talked about was a better definition of the kind of the minimum requirements for each. So this is just a little synopsis at this table, right? Okay. So we had talked about kind of a better definition of the minimum requirements for each level of application, kind of like the differences between the PRT, the pre-app, and the application. And then we also talked about a little bit of a clearer line between the submittal requirements and the requirements related to the entitlement versus the permitting, the actual construction permitting, because sometimes we get held up with requirements on the front end that really just need to be dealt with at the tail end of the process. Let's see.
Change it.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, there's no reason to do a C3 study and detailed hydrological analysis 3 times over. You do it once in the beginning and then once at the permitting stage. But to have us spend the money 3 times on something that just is a morphing project or morphing plan, is a waste of everybody's time and money. Let's see. Another item was kind of clear differences between the authority of some of the bodies, DRC, PC, council. Sometimes you get these gray areas between these different bodies. I don't want to dominate the mic.
Just a couple more comments. We talked, and I know the city's working on this, is more global coordination with the outside agencies. And Walnut Creek's different than many cities because you don't have your own water, sewer, and fire. And I know you've done some other outreach programs in that regard. But just Frank's comment about, yeah, we've talked to the fire district, they're on board, but sewer's not, and health department's not. Just understanding that that's our reality, and anything you can do to build cooperation among the outside agencies would help a lot.
They also mentioned parking as a concern. They also mentioned parking as a concern. Okay.
Not project parking.
No, yeah.
I wrote down parking equals stress, and that
For your projects or for
That's what I was saying.
just getting to City Hall and getting submitted.
Yeah, I echo the comments about coordination with outside agencies. I think that can at times just cause some slowdowns, given that the outside agencies might have a lot less prior knowledge than the city does. And then I also had a note about better, more convenient and coordinated fee estimates pre-application, including all of the different groups. So from planning, engineering, building, plan check for each of those, impact fees, affordable housing in lieu fees, all in one kind of more convenient location.
Yeah, I second that too. When a project is at inception, folks like him that are doing analysis, they need to know what are the numbers that he would be impacted for the whole project. Okay, so all the fees, all the permit requirements, all the jurisdictions, even jurisdictional fees, that you can get them all in your system, so that he or person that's actually doing the analysis would know what the project cost would be in terms of what is not in their control. What is in their control is the actual building. What is not in their control are the fees and everything else impacts that they have to experience through the end of the project. So it would be good to have one place to go immediately at the front of the project to be able to see all of that. And if there is not visible, at least you can to be determined, or you go and find it yourself, or so at least they're there. Okay, so that's that is for that process. The other thing is you folks are doing a fantastic job to setting up. We're doing subdivisions and residential subdivisions to send all the information on the, and you have a pre-app process, which I think is a great process. And with that process, you find out from other jurisdictions other sewer districts and fire department and water districts and other districts, what are the impacts of the project they're creating and what are the issues that we have to do. And maybe with the fees and with all those answers, and maybe there's a process you can combine all of that into a quick analysis. It's very important for folks that are doing a residential development. Quick analysis, what are we looking for? Instead of doing a complete C3 for entitlement process, those are needed, and they'll go through, you know, when they do a final map approval and perfecting the map, they go through all that study process. But those are things that they need, and they can quickly, the various departments can actually say, well, in a global perspective, we think your project would need more areas for C3 or less areas for C3. We think those are the issues that you're going to be facing, and that sort of information is very helpful for folks who are putting the project together.
Thank you very much. All right, take us home, table 3.
So I think we're all thinking about similar things. I definitely identified the timing of the other agencies that are not the city as being something that the city could communicate with. Probably not as smart as all of you who suggest that maybe the city could coordinate that for them. I'm not sure that I see that as something that the city would necessarily do or could do. But my suggestion was that the city could create some kind of an informational handout to help especially those who were less experienced understand that those are things that they definitely have to have, who the contact people would be, and even just kind of a checklist of all kinds of agencies, including ones that some might not think about, like Air Quality Management District or the Regional Board or some of these others, just to communicate so that later on when the city's ready to issue a permit, it's not news to those people. I think that's a valuable service that the city could provide. Don't have a lot of specific personal experience developing here, so a lot of my other comments were based on things I've heard from other people. And one of the things that I've heard is that folks feel like the entitlement process through staff and all the hearing schedules takes much longer in Walnut Creek than in other cities. And so because of my limited experience, I personally find that to be a good thing, because I hear from everyone that they get good feedback from staff, that the projects all are improved by the staff feedback, and ultimately I think that the public gets a really good opportunity to comment. And so when the projects are approved, they're good projects, they have the support of the community, and I feel like while it takes you longer, you probably have less entitlement risk, because by the time you get there, you're likely to have staff support of a good project, and the Planning Commission and Council are probably going to support you. The downside risk is that you're carrying the project or some option payments for a long time, and heaven forbid you miss the market cycle and you feel like, you know, later that you should have been able to do this faster. So my suggestion, having gone through the blueprint, is that we need to find a way to expedite that process. Most of the commissions don't really feel like they want to be combined. I heard some resistance to Design Review and Planning Commission being combined, but I think most of those folks seem interested in more joint meetings. And to the degree that we can do joint study sessions and maybe even joint hearings, I think that helps the applicant a lot. And more importantly, I heard a really good comment from one of the other planning commissioners who said that that helps the community, because the community gets fatigue. You know, the people in the community who have positive and negative things to say, you know, themselves aren't that interested in showing up at 6 hearings. The applicant is going to do whatever it takes, but the community really wants to only come once or twice at the most. So if we can work on kind of more upfront preliminary application review, and I think to your point, the idea is real conceptual. Let's not redesign at a detailed level of design 4 times, but get quickly through to a point where we're all comfortable with the project, and then really design it and get it a little bit faster through the entitlement process. I do sense from folks I've talked to that engineering and building plan check are reasonably similar in Walnut Creek as other places. I don't get the sense that that's the big hang-up. It seems to be more on the entitlement side, so that's where I focus my comments.
Thank you very much. And to close it out, oh yeah.
The comment is if we come in and we ask for fees, it would be it can take some time, and it is a little complicated to put together the fees with all the different jurisdictions, departments, and all that sort of thing, and focusing just on the city. Just even to have an example project, like if I come in with a commercial subdivision and there was one built, I don't care if it was 2 years ago, at least I can go through that list of what they actually paid for, and then I can go back and compare that to any updates in the fees, but know that those categories that they had to pay for are going to be very similar to what I had done. And that's an easy thing that I think you guys already have in the computer, and you can just print out, the fees for a shopping mall or the fees for a single-family home, on project X. All that's public information anyway, I believe, just in terms of what you guys charge on any given entitlement and or building permit. So
Are you talking about the discretionary side or more the actual impact fees, permitting, building permit, site development permit fees? Or?
the whole gamut. The whole gamut. Because, as this gentleman, as this gentleman said, we're trying to build pro formas, and we're talking about in the beginning. Yeah, exactly. And so, when you're trying to build that pro forma, at least be in the ballpark on the fees and which fees really apply to a certain project. You guys have done a lot of projects. You can print out what was done from the get-go on an entitlement all the way through the final building permit, and then all those categories are listed in there in terms of what you collected. So there's a suggestion.
Yeah, I second that. It would help us not to be miss some items when we look at a history, a similar project that you can put out and say 2 years ago. It's okay. We can ballpark it with what changes are from 2 years ago to now. And that would help us to be able to be more successful and put together a pro forma that is more closer to accuracy. And I do want to second Peter, your comment about a combined, maybe in a pre-app process, a combined planning commission, DRC, and possibly council. So we don't exhaust people coming to a hearing many times over and over. They can come maybe once, and they can tell us all their comments, and we can also hear all the comments at one time from all the city staff and the commissions and council. So if you can arrange that, that'd be fantastic and would help everybody.
Well, I have nothing but thanks for everybody in this room for the thoughtfulness that you put into this and the time that you have taken. Thank you so much. We will be following up, including with copies of this as well as an offer. If your office is nearby and you want me to do a road show and do this with your staff, I would be happy to do that as well. So we'll follow up. Thank you again, and please enjoy the rest of your march.